Welcome back. This is Chapter 1, Part 2. The title of the slide is Components of Learning to Teach Model, and it's slide number 22. I'm going to take a few minutes to review. The next three slides have sample questions. The answers are provided on the fourth slide, or slide 26. Review is part of the pedagogical cycle, the teaching and learning cycle, and is a best practice. Frequent and meaningful reviews help students to more readily retain information. So take a few minutes to answer the questions on the next four slides. You might want to pause the PowerPoint, and then if you take a look at slide 26, after you're finished answering the questions, you'll have the answers. So I will go ahead and meet you on slide 27 when you're ready. Slide 27, there is an article, a brief article called The Costs of Poor Teaching. And I'd like you to go ahead and read that article, and then there is a question. Name three costs of poor teaching. And after you finish reading that article, post that on Forum 1 as response 5. The cost of poor teaching. Again, you may want to pause and do that, and I'll meet you on slide 28. Based on the information that we have just covered, you should be able to define good teaching using the elements from the Learning to Teach model. These elements include knowledge of subject matter, pedagogical content knowledge, knowledge of teaching and learning, teaching strategies. You've also been directed to several resources you can use to better understand these components. Slide 29. After being able to define good teaching, or the elements of teaching, we are going to move on to how the views of teaching have evolved during the past 30 to 40 years. Slide 30. Click on the link to see what was expected of teachers in the 1800s. You'll find these expectations of teachers to be interesting. The three waves of teaching represent ways in which effective teaching was determined. Teacher characteristics were used in the 1950s and 60s. Teaching methods and strategies were used to evaluate teachers from 1970 to 1980s. And teacher effectiveness research from 1980s to 2000. And these years are just rough estimates. Click on the link and read what was expected in the 1800s. On slide 31, this slide summarizes the views and flaws of how teaching and learning has been viewed from the 1950s to the present. The art and science of teaching protocol is posted in the resources. This is also discussed in the next slide. Slide 32, Views of Teaching and Learning, Past to Present Art and Science of Teaching Protocol is the title. On Moodle, go to Resources and review the Art and Science of Teaching Protocol by Robert Marzano. This protocol is what is used for teachers to reflect on their teaching effectiveness. Also, listen to Robert Marzano by clicking on the following link that is on the slide. After listening, post what you believe are the three most important ideas in his message. Post this as response 5. On slide 33, one of the categories in the protocol is related to routines, and you will learn more about routines in Chapter 3. From a classroom management perspective, rules and procedures and routines help free the teacher up from management so that the teacher and classroom and the teacher can focus more on learning. Slide 34, title is Art and Science of Teaching Protocol Categories. If the teacher has effective rules, procedures, and routines, then the teacher can spend time helping students to interact with new knowledge and enabling them to deepen their understanding of new knowledge. Slide 35, Art and Science of Teaching Protocol Categories. This category, enacted on the spot, has to do with what teachers do on a day-to-day basis, on the spot, while students are engaged in learning. Many of these characteristics have to do with balancing the management responsibilities with the learning and teaching responsibilities. In addition to teachers, teachers have many management responsibilities that are related to their role. Slide 36. In addition to the 4 strategies that we've learned when discussing defining good teaching, direct instruction, cooperative learning, mastery learning, and problem-based learning, Marzano has identified several strategies that are known as research-based. These are strategies that, if used correctly, can increase the achievement of students. This slide lists the strategies and provides an explanation of each strategy. Slide 37. Let's go back to slide 36 really quick. On the left-hand side, you'll see the strategies, and on the right-hand side, you'll see an explanation. And as you go to 37, you'll see the same thing. On the left-hand side, you'll see the strategies. On the right-hand side, you will see an explanation. Slide 38. For more information on the research-based strategies, go to the supplemental text, Classroom Instruction That Works, and skim the chapters related to research-based strategies, chapters 2 through 10. The text is by Robert Marzano. This will give you a taste of what research-based strategies look like. Slide 39, Views of Teaching and Learning Past to Present Reflection Check. Let's do a review. Can you describe the 3 phases or waves of how teaching was viewed and the flaws of each? Can you describe the categories of the art and science of teaching protocol? What contributions do you feel Robert Marzano made to how we view teaching and learning? Now use those 3 questions. You might even want to jot them down and go back and review the slides and see if you can answer those 3 questions again. What are the waves or phases of teaching? Can you describe the categories in art and science of teaching protocol? And what contributions do you feel Robert Marzano made to how we view teaching and learning? Slide 40. Learning to teach key themes from Chapter 1. We are in the 5 o'clock position. Views of teaching and learning have evolved over the past 60 years. We're going to take a look of the views of teaching from the 1950s to present, as well as consider 2 different views that describe how students learn. Slide 41, where have we been and where are we going? Where have we been? Well, we've defined good teaching using a set of 4 questions as criteria. We have learned about the 4 components of learning to teach. We have learned about the various views of teaching and learning. And we have explored the art and science of teaching protocol. And hopefully you have a sense for what defines good teachers today as being effective. Now we're going to now learn about 2 different views of learning. Slide 41. Slide 42. There are 2 contemporary views of teaching and learning. The first view is behaviorism. In this view, the teacher presents the information, assesses whether students understand the material, and then reinforces or punishes the student based on the degree to which students understand the material. This is called behaviorism, because behaviorists believe that what humans do such as acting, thinking, and feeling, are based on altering behaviors or environments through rewards and punishment. Okay, so take a look at this slide and see if you can grasp an understanding of what behaviorism is and the key role that reinforcers play in behaviorism. On slide 43, we're still on behaviorism, illustrates an example of how a behaviorist would approach teaching and how they believe learning looks like. Behaviorists see students as empty containers, and the knowledge is poured into the students through the teacher. Through behaviorism, learning is shaped or retained based on how a teacher reinforces or punishes. For example, assigning the grades A and B may reinforce student achievement, while a grade of C, D, or F may be seen as punishments, which may also shape student behavior towards achievement. Slide 44. Contemporary Views of Teaching and Learning. Constructivism is the title. With behaviorism, knowledge comes from the teacher or from the external environment, and we can see behaviorism as learning from the outside in. From the cognitive psychologists, we have the idea of constructivism, which focuses on the processes within the learner. This can be seen as an inside-out approach. So in this slide, we're introduced to the idea of cognitive psychology or constructivism, which is different approach than behaviorism. Constructivism, students construct the knowledge, and it is more or less what we would call an inside-out approach. Behaviorism would be seen as an outside-in approach because the teacher is pouring the information into the student. Slide 45, Contemporary Views of Teaching and Learning. Constructivism is the title. Jean Piaget is considered the person who founded the idea of constructivism. His theory is based on the fact that individuals construct knowledge and accommodate as well as assimilate new information. This is different from the behaviorist view that knowledge is fed to students. Slide 46. Contemporary Views of Teaching and Learning. Constructivism is the title. These four important ideas form the basis of constructivism. Learners construct their own learning rather than having it delivered. New learning depends on prior understanding and knowledge. Learning is enhanced by social interaction, and authentic learning tasks promote meaningful learning. So those are four ideas that really kind of anchor or provide some clarity to the definition of constructivism. This idea of social interaction, number 3, is very important because usually in the constructivist approach, they will use group activities or something called cooperative learning. And through the interaction of other people, constructivists feel that we can learn, learning can be very effective through interaction with other individuals. Slide 47 is a clip. The person in the clip exaggerates the negatives of behaviorism, but does make the point that it is teacher-centered. After watching the clip, share on Moodle an experience you had in a behaviorist classroom and then in a constructivist classroom. Touch on what did the teacher do, what was the role as a student, what approach do you prefer, and why. So take a minute to click on and watch that clip and then respond on Moodle. This will be response 6, forum 1. Slide 48 is a little matrix, and what I'd like you to do is just maybe take a piece of paper and a pencil and try to draw out or provide the answers in the boxes that you see here on this slide. For example, behaviorism, if you go across, what is the view of learning from someone who uses a behaviorist approach? What is the view of the learner from someone who uses a behaviorist approach? And what is the view of the teacher as a teacher in the behaviorist approach? And then do the same for cognitive or constructivist. So the view of learning, the view of the learner, and what's the view of the teacher, the role of the teacher, using each one of those approaches or views. And after you've done that, go to slide 49 and you'll see the answers. Notice that on slide 49, where you have your answers to slide 48, there's the Pants on Fire logo icon, and it'll be important for you to know how a behaviorist and a constructivist would see the view of learning, the view of the learner, and the view of the teacher. So this will be an important slide for you to be able to learn. Slide 50, let's review. Can you describe the view of learning, the view of learners, and the view of the teacher through the lens of behaviorists and constructivists? And this will conclude Chapter 1, Part 2, and we will go on to Chapter 1, Part 3.